Welcome to Scoop Live. We are here. It is Saturday night. Happy Easter to the Scoop family and all of the Buckeye fans out there. We have an early Easter gift to announce. Nolan has just committed to Ohio State. The really impressive left-handed quarterback out of Georgia. Fantastic kid, fantastic production. Great win for Ryan Day, great win for Corey Dennis, Brian Hartline. Another South Florida Express kid is in the mix. It's crazy. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about what's been going on the last few days for the Woody. The team is off this weekend, which big kudos to Ryan Day for giving these kids a chance to go home for Easter. Give them a nice little couple-day break before they get back at it on Monday, Tuesday. They get back into workouts in the last few practices before the spring game next Saturday. So with that being said, as always, we're very thankful for you guys. Happy Easter to you guys. Appreciate you guys as always tuning into this. If you enjoy this content, leave us a like. Appreciate you guys as always. Subscribing to the channel is always huge. Tell your friends. I'm telling you, the Scoop is growing like crazy, and it's all thanks to you guys. We appreciate that. The momentum is unbelievable. Again, this channel, can't imagine what's going to be like in a year, how much bigger this thing will be, but it's all because of you guys. So we appreciate you guys. So we're working on Saturday night, baby, because we want to hang out with you guys a little bit and talk a little bit about our newest quarterback. So he's a lefty. We've seen this video. I think this is the most watched highlight tape in Scoop history, but I love watching it. He is an outstanding player, really a kid with a cannon. Again, you look at the statistics, over 4,000 yards, 55 touchdowns, 792 points, state champion. Had Jelani Thurman, but the film is just undeniably good. He's a great kid too. He's really well put together. I said I met him in Naples at a South Florida Express 7-on-7 tournament. Really a nice kid. Nice rapport with JJ Smith. So I think that there's this massive upside here. I think that he's a guy that it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic of a lefty, I think. But I think he's a kid that, he needs some work. He's a little raw. He has an absolute hose for an arm, a cannon for an arm, but he's a worker, man. He's a kid that grinds. He works. I mean, his work ethic and his temperament reminds me a lot of JT Barrett, honestly. I mean, he's a tough kid. His coaches love him. I talked to, about 5 of the South Florida Express coaches, and they love the kid. He's a really, really good kid. He's got a little work to do. And again, that's why you go to Ohio State, to refine your mechanics, to get quicker, more full field reads. I think that part of, when you play at a powerhouse school like he does, is he doesn't have to read the whole field, because one of his top 2 options is usually always going to be open, because he's throwing to guys like Jelani Thurman and the like, and you don't really have to scan the whole field like you'll have to do at Ohio State in the NFL. But again, that's why you go to Ohio State. You want to get developed by Corey Dennis and by Ryan Day and by Todd Finch, and you want to watch what they did with CJ Stroud and Justin Fields and Dwayne Haskins, and I think that that's why for a kid like this, the upside's huge. I think that he's a kid. Again, he's a sturdy kid. He's a big kid. And again, like the lefty thing, I don't really think matters as much. I think some people get a little hung up on the left tackle, right tackle thing, potentially being the opposite blind side, but I don't really think it matters. And again, I don't think we've had a lefty since Steve Bellisari, so it'll be interesting to see how he does with that. But again, I was shocked it took this long to replace Dylan Raiola in the class, just because, and I've said it a million times, infrastructure is the most important thing for a quarterback. Infrastructure, including Ryan Day's coaching, Brian Hartline's offense, which is really Ryan Day's offense, and, having Brandon Innes and Cardell Tate and JJ Smith and some of these guys that are around him, it makes your life a lot easier, man. I'm telling you, you do not want to go to a place where you're not going to have the guys that can get open. The wide receivers are always going to be on point with Brian Hartline running the show. So I'm just excited about him. So yeah, I think that Bryce West and Aaron Scott. Bryce Scott, that's gonna be their new nickname, the hybrid. Bryce West and Aaron Scott are the next 2 guys in line. So this is going to be just a crazy run. I think it's unbelievable. I believe he's about 6'1". He's got to be close to 200, because like I said, I stood next to him, and he is, defined biceps, and he's built like the Hulk. Like, I mean, you can tell the kid doesn't take it easy in the weight room, which is great. I mean, I love guys that because it's not so much about his physical strength as much as it is his work ethic. When you see a high school kid who's put together and he looks like a grown man, then it's a different level. Hang on, I'm bringing Nevadabuck to join us. Nevada, we are live. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I mean, even though this was expected in we knew that was going to happen. I just cannot tell you how excited I am about this commitment. I think it indicates a transition in Ryan Day's understanding about the quarterback position. I think this guy is going to be just absolutely dynamite, and I just could not be more excited to see him in an Ohio State uniform. Big day for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, there was a little bit of a slap when Dylan Raiola took off, but I think that this is a kid that, his work ethic and his toughness, I think, might make him, I'm not going to say better than Dylan Raiola, because who knows how Dylan Raiola will turn out if he ends up at Georgia or wherever. But, this kid's mentality, his production, like that's one thing, like with Dylan Raiola is obviously he's still consensus 5-star and the like, but not a real productive year his junior year, and he's transferred again. Now he's at Pinnacle. He's been at 3 different high schools in 3 years. So there's some red flags there with that when guys are constantly transferring. And, when you're not producing at a school like Chandler, which is, like 5,000 students and a massive population, I don't know. This kid's production, as I said last week when we were watching this film, is A++. The numbers are absolutely sparkling. And I think that that's something that counts. And when you do it in Georgia high school football, that's better than Arizona high school football. So, again, I love the kid. Again, like I said, I don't want to compare him to JT Barrett, but he's a grinder, he's a worker. The guys that are around him love him, think he's a great kid, tough kid. And I think that his upside is vast once he gets into this offense with Ryan Day's coaching. Because Ryan Day, the thing about Ryan Day is he coaches quarterbacks very hard. Like, it is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the weak. He's a very tough coach on his quarterback. So, and Ayer's the kind of guy who has the sound, mind to like take that, because not every kid can take hard coaching and make it, but he's a kid that wants to be coached. He wants tough love. And I think he'll be a great fit for Ohio State. What was your reaction, Nevada? When we first broke this, I think it was almost 2 weeks ago. He committed. He got the offer, or it was a week ago, excuse me, when he was up here. But what was your initial reaction when you heard that he was likely to be our 2024 quarterback?
Well, I think we got to come up with a different word other than productive, because like super mega uber productive or something. I mean, whatever they scored 70 points a game in Georgia football or whatever it was. I mean, this kid just lights it up. I love the fact that he's a high school teammate of Jelani Thurman, who I think is a kid that's been sent down from Krypton or something to play with the mortals, because Jelani is unlike any other tight end that I've ever seen at the position for Ohio State. And that includes Ricky Dudley. So, I mean, like, you're talking about a guy who's just a super freak of a tight end. And then I think about all those other weapons that Hartline's bringing in, and then you throw Peoples into the mix. We're going to be scoring, 45, 50 points a game, and if we can get a couple of stops, we're going to be right there in the mix for the national championship. Maybe we can kick a field goal, we'll even win a national championship before I die.
I think that the way our offense is being built right now, I think that, I can't imagine us not being just right at the very tip of college football going forward. I think the NIL thing's getting straightened out. I think that, this receiver class that we're bringing in is historically good. So, I think that the upside is there to score a lot. I think the DB class is going to be fantastic. So there's a lot of upside. We get a couple of guys in the trenches, man. It's going to be game over. What's up? David Pinteric is in the building. We have a ton of people in here tonight, so I appreciate you guys on Easter Eve. Thank you for joining us, and happy Easter to you guys. But yeah, I think that, it was kind of genius by Ryan Day to take off Jelani's black stripe on the Friday before, Ayer committed. Every time, because I sat in the meetings where they would discuss taking the black stripe off and how it goes down, and there's got to be like it's kind of like a presentation. Okay, I'm going to take off Nevada's black stripe. Why are you going to take it off? Well, he's got A's in all of his classes. Mickey Marotti says he's dominant in the weight room. He's doing fantastic work. He's never been late to a meeting. He's always on time. Like his practices have been great. He's done a lot of community service. Like, there's all these different little facets that are pretty cool. And I think that, like, that's something with Jelani. I think that it wasn't an accident that he lost his black stripe, and he's the biggest. I mean, I won't say he's the biggest reason we got Ayer, but when your boy is up there and he can say, hey, how is it? Is it cold? Is it like the cornfields? Is Ohio boring? And nah, man, it's sweet. Like, it's awesome. I love the coaches. The offense is great. Like, and Jelani's been dominant in practice. I think that it just paves the road for a kid like Air to commit here with no trepidation and no him hawing around. Like he was here a week ago, he got the offer, and he'd been offered by all those other schools for a long time, and he waited for that Ohio State offer, and then he jumped on it. Nevada, were you surprised it took this long to find a 2024 quarterback, given the infrastructure that's going to surround this kid with Brandon Ennis and Carnell Tate and Jelani Thurman? And if I was a quarterback, this is a school. This would have been my number one pick. I don't care where I'm from. If I'm a 5-star kid, like that's like why I thought Dylan Raiola was an idiot, just an idiot for decommitting. But what are your thoughts on how long it took us to find a quarterback?
Well, I just think Ohio State's being really careful. They're taking their time, and obviously, you're talking about Rayola, you're talking about Jaden Davis, and you know, they kind of worked their way down. Well, Rayola kind of worked their way down to the list. Jaden, they kind of left at the altar, and then they got to Air, and they just wanted to know that Air really wanted to be there. And what it shows me is that Air's a really cerebral kid, because any kid who would have that would be a quarterback and would be offered by Ryan Day and not accept the offer, given the weapons and given Ryan Day's recently, is stupid. That's all they can say. They're just not. They're just not very smart. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I'm not trying to be Mr. Mean, but like, how it is having kids that's being recruited. If your kid's a quarterback and he's offered from Ryan Day to be the next quarterback at Ohio State, and you say no, you need to have your head examined.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. But so no, the Air is clearly a smart kid. He's clearly an athletic kid. He's clearly a productive kid, and I just think he's going to light it up. But again, I want to emphasize. I think this indicates a change in the way that Day's looking at the position, because Air is not just a pretty perfect 7-on-7 passer guy. That is not his game. His game is more of the full college quarterback. Now, he's not JT Barrett, but he's certainly not a statue bat. He's not Dwayne Haskins, I can tell you that. So I think this is a really positive step for Ohio State, and I think it's going to pay big dividends for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's something that was really smart by Air and his parents. I think that it's one of those things where if certain positions, like if you put a gun to my, like when Caleb Downs went to play safety for Nick Saban, I wasn't mad at it. I mean, if I got a kid who's a 5-star safety and you want to go, like you have the highest percentage chance of being a first-round pick at your position, Ryan Day's the guy for quarterbacks right now. I mean, it's either him or Lincoln Riley, but like Ryan Day's guys have just gone into the league. They've played well. Justin Fields should have been a Pro Bowler last year. CJ he'll be the first or second pick in the draft. Like, and then you look at the weapons you have, and that's where I give Ryan Day the edge over Lincoln Riley, is that he has Brian Hartline developing the receivers. So you're getting guys that, it's like the great begets great, where Brandon Ennis and Tate are bringing in J.J. Smith, and they're bringing in Mylan Graham. I mean, it's just a nonstop just juggernaut of skill. And it's developed skill. And those guys are coached hard. Brian coaches those guys really hard, and so does Ryan Day. So, there's a standard that's there now where if you're the Ohio State quarterback, you're expected to be a first-round pick, be a top 10 pick, be a top 5 pick. So the bar has been raised, man. And it's not like that at USC or Clemson or, I mean, after Lawrence left, I mean, where are they at with quarterbacks now? DJ Uiagalelei kind of fell on his face, and they're trying to get back to that. Georgia's had no success. Like Jaden Davis, like picking Michigan over us is flat insane, just because, when's the last time a Michigan quarterback outside of Chad Henne has done anything in the NFL, and Chad Henne was a 2nd-round pick, but again, it's all about your infrastructure, the offense, the coaching. I'd be really nervous about Jim Harbaugh leaving every year, because he clearly wants to go back to the NFL at some point. He's gonna leave. Someone's gonna make the offer, or they're gonna get desperate and go get him. But he's been trying to get out of town for months now. But no, I'm excited about this kid. I really like the makeup. I think it's better that he's not like a phenom type, a Raiola type right now, just because I think he'll come in with less expectations of being like a day one starter, like some of those guys come in with. And, I think he'll be a little bit less heralded, which I think isn't always a bad thing. I think some of these guys that show up and why aren't you the best quarterback in the nation the first day? Or, it's kind of like what the Quinn Ewers Arch Manning thing at Texas right now. Like, people think Arch Manning's going to beat Quinn out. There's just no chance. So I think that sometimes these guys are under the radar. They have less pressure. And you're never under the radar when you're at Ohio State, but he's going to have a little bit of time to develop, learn the offense, and just grind and get more efficient at everything that he does, because that's what it's going to take. And like I said, if I'm a quarterback, dude, Ryan Day's offense with Brian Hartline's receivers is the place I want to be at. We'll take some questions too as we get rolling. I appreciate this, but yeah, I think that this kid's really nice. We have an Alabama fan in here. I love it. But yeah, we've got some really good people in here. Yeah, shout out where you guys are from. We got Washington Courthouse in the mix. We got Youngstown. I love it, man. I'm really excited about what this kid can do. Nevada, who does he remind you of? Like when you watch his film, is there anybody in either Ohio State or the NFL or recent college football that he reminds you of, lefty or righty?
I mean, again, it's hard not to make the comparison, but he reminds me a little bit of Michael Vick, and he's not quite as explosive as Michael Vick, but he's he throws the same kind of ball. Michael Vick wasn't the smoothest passer, had the big arm, threw it a little bit on a line, a little bit, especially coming out of high school. But he's got a little bit of Vick in him without the dogfighting, and I think just think any college quarterback that can move, that's got the big arm, that's strong, and that can deliver the ball and be productive in a college offense. That's who he is. And the fact that we got him, oh boy, it's big kid, big day for Ohio State. Like I said, they never get. I never get too excited about any recruits, but quarterback and wide receivers are overpowered, and we just got a good one.
Yeah. We put on some Jelani just because I love watching Jelani's tape. Obviously, Ayers a quarterback here, but he's obviously our tight end. He's just done fantastic work so far. So here's Jelani out here in the slot, but he is fun to watch. And I'm telling you, of all the guys that we've gotten at tight end over the last few years, I don't know how many guys we've gotten like this dude. He's going to be a red zone weapon. He's going to be a guy that I think you got to play early and often. I think that next year he's probably clearly the starter, just because I think that his talent is that vast. Again, he lost his black stripe in almost record time, right behind Carnell Tate. I think set the record for the fastest red or black stripe. I keep saying red stripe like the beer. The fastest black stripe removal. And here, you get to see him play some defense too, which again, I love watching this kid play D. But yeah, I mean, your thoughts on what's the benefit to getting some inroads at some of these powerhouse schools in Georgia? Like, we've just taken two kids from one of the best schools in Georgia and Nevada, and they both become Buckeyes. What are your thoughts on what getting Air right after Jelani does to some of the Georgia inroads in recruiting?
Well, I mean, again, it just shows that Ohio State is, not that there was any doubt about our ability to recruit nationally, but we can recruit right in the backyard of the 2-year defending national champion. People can say, well, Georgia didn't offer Air, they went a different direction, and that's fair enough. But we're pulling talent out of Georgia, we're pulling talent out of obviously Florida. We've been feasting on Texas. We'll get them anywhere. I just think that for Ohio State right now, you want to be. Let's face it, there's only a handful of teams that really have a legitimate chance to win the national championship every year, and it's just nice that we're one of them, and we're in the elite of the elite. We haven't been able to achieve the success of Alabama yet, but could we go on a run like that? I don't know if anybody will go on a run like that, but could we go on a nice run? Absolutely. And how would you do it? You do it by landing quarterbacks like this, wide receivers like that. And then let's throw in a guy like James Laurinaitis that's going to help do to the defense what Brian Hartline's done to the offense. And I think we've got the making of a really nice run for not that the last 11 years has been bad, but it's I think we're coming into a really fun time for Ohio State football.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's fun watching this tape because these are literally all throws from Air to Jelani. So this is a preview of what you're going to see next spring, when he gets here, and all of a sudden it's, they're running with the second and third team together. And this is going to be kind of some of the stuff he can do. Like, he catches a tunnel screen, does something with it. He's tough to bring down. He's great on defense. He's a really good defensive end. So I love that mentality. I think he's a nasty player. I think he's a guy that, as Cade Stover steps away, it'll be interesting, as he goes into the draft next year, does he become, a starter as a true sophomore? And could he be a 3-and-out tight end? Like, I mean, that would be one of the most stunning things ever is if we'd ever have a 3-and-out tight end at Ohio State, just because it's a rare accomplishment. You generally have to be a first or second round pick to do it. I think he could be that guy just because he's got the ability. He obviously has the genetics. His dad was an outstanding player. Career got cut short, but I mean, he's a guy with the Bengals who people thought was going to be a multi-year Pro Bowl guy. But yeah, I'm excited about the direction of the program. I think that making inroads in Georgia and pulling another really good player out of Georgia. This guy was the state player of the year in the state of Georgia last year. So and if Georgia, Clemson wanted him, all of the powers in the South wanted him, and he decided to come up to Ohio State because the brand is strong. And more importantly, the path to the NFL is direct. If you become quarterback at Ohio State, you're the starting quarterback. It's 1 or 2 years, and you're out. You're going to the league. So that's really impressive. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here. We'll finish some of this film out. Take a couple questions. Who in the chat, who does he remind you of? We got some Troy Smith. Is he the first lefty at Ohio State? No, Steve Belisario was a lefty. Nevada, can you think of any other lefty quarterbacks we've had?
Boy, I'm thinking out loud. No, I mean, other than when Jim Zorn played at Ohio State, that was the last left quarterback that I can remember. But
other than Belisari,
that was the Seahawks. I'm sorry, I keep getting them confused. He's Kenny Stabler. Kenny Stabler was the last Ohio State quarterback that was a lefty. He
Stabler.
He threw the famous Sea of Hands throw. Do you remember that one? You probably don't really remember that. So, the Holy Roller. Was Kenny Stabler. I'm showing my knowledge of old Ohio State football there. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Brass Tacks Cleveland. I love it. We got Roll Tide. We got everything in the chat tonight. This is great. Toronto. I think Terod was a small guy. Air is a big dude. Like, again, I literally stood next to him when they were warming up, talked to him for a little bit. I was talking to JJ, and I'm telling you, he is a built dude. I mean, he is like, I was like, this guy spends a lot of time in the gym. And I think that's good. Because again, I like guys that aren't allergic to the weights. Because there's some guys that they know they got weights, man, and they're not trying to lift and get big and bulky. And some quarterbacks are a little paranoid about those stuff, but Air's not. Air reminds me of Terrell. Like, Terrell Pryor was a dude that just he would lift the day before games. I'm like, dude, like, put the barbells down. Like, you got to throw a football tomorrow. You don't need to be all popped up, doing heavy curls and shoulder press the day before a game. But Terrell was that crazy of a worker. And like, I was like, dude, like, just, do a little bit less. AJ Hawk used to do that too. He'd do these crazy workouts the day before the game. I think the Texas game in 2005, when we were sequestered in the hotel, that was like an 8:00 kick. He worked out the morning of. Like, he was like in the fitness room at the hotel, like lifting and doing dips and doing like all this. And I'm like, dude, like, I was laying in bed. And again, that's what made AJ. But like, most people are like resting because you got to go play a football game. You got to go to war that night. So you don't want to accidentally hurt something or strain something or do something stupid, like, because you're lifting. But hey, AJ didn't care, and it worked out good for him. And he actually played fantastic that night. So it's probably something the whole team should have did. Yeah, I think I love. I was gonna say, Brock, I appreciate you, man. We got a Bama, we got a Roll Tide guy in here. This is great. Yeah, I mean, if the Terrell Pryor, I don't know if I could compare him to Terrell, because I think Terrell might be the best athlete to ever play at Ohio State. I'm not even kidding. Like, I marveled at what that kid did. He had that funky throwing motion, but man, he could run like an absolute monster. He probably could have played basketball in the NBA. But yeah, I agree. The air merch is going to go crazy. Nevada, who, we've had this great run of recruiting. What are your thoughts? We're gonna have the two corners probably coming next about this run right now. Is this as good as we've seen in a hot minute? Like, I mean, we're just stacking them up right now.
Well, you got to remember, we were on a long dry spell. Remember, we went a long time without a commitment, and it's like, so as an Ohio State fan, you just got to kind of enjoy these because we're gonna mass them all up, and then it's gonna be like, oh, we haven't had a commitment in 3 months. Then we'd be sad pandas, and like, no, you got to remember this day and be happy panda because we got Air Nolan today, and you're only going to be able to get 20, 22, 24, whatever it is going to be every month, every year. So The kids are clearly scheduling out their commitments right now. You can see how it's kind of coming down. We knew this one was coming down. Everybody wants their moment in the sun, but this is a big one. This is a big one, and so enjoy it.
Do you think there's any chance Ryan Day takes another quarterback, a second quarterback? Because he's done that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I don't know if he can sit still.
I think Ayer's been told that he'd be the only one, so I think it would have to be. I think that was certainly what my understanding coming out of that official visit or whatever visit you want to call it.
I agree. I mean, it'd be interesting. Like I said, I always feel like that portal's always out there, and Ryan doesn't sit still, man. I'm telling you. Brass Tacks Eastmore, home of Deontay Johnson, and also Justin Valentine played against those guys my junior year. David Pinterick, does him being left-handed require changes in the offense? Well, that is an interesting question because I feel like, obviously people, with the tackle thing, you always say the left side's the blind side because, 98% of quarterbacks are righties, but, the right tackle becomes the blind side. So I don't know how much that affects what Ryan Day would do if Ayer becomes some superstar and all of a sudden do you put your best tackle at right tackle instead of left tackle? I don't know, because all your other quarterbacks are righties. So I don't think it really would change anything. I think something that like a minuscule thing that we do is like when we run bubble screens and tunnel screens and things where the guy has to, the quarterback has to catch it and let it rip off to the side real quick. I think that you'd have a tendency to throw them more to the dominant side. Like if you're a righty, you catch the ball and you throw it out left just because it's right in front of you. You don't have to swivel your hips and change your body. So if you're a lefty, you catch it and you throw it out to your right. That's something I always noticed, like with Michigan, back in the day when they had Lloyd Carr's offense, they'd always run the smoke screens to the left because, they're righty, Chad Henne or whatever to catch it and just bang it out there real quick. So that I think would change just because of the ease of it, because you don't have to have the quarterback kind of swivel around when he catches the ball. But other than that, I don't think it'd be too dramatic of changes. We have a super chat. Oh, David Pinterick, appreciate you, brother, as always. $9.99, I love it. We're gonna go put that on Jorge Masvidal tonight. So see if he can get a knockout for us, right, Nevada?
Yeah, at plus 400, man, it's good value. Not that I think he's got a chance, but maybe Burns will poke him in the eye and look at a disqualification or something like that.
Yeah, we've got a huge betting thread on BuckeyeScoop.com. If any of you guys are into making a lot of money, like we've been on fire on MMA betting, so check that out. Nevada, any hot picks for tonight for the UFC card? It's a big card tonight.
Yeah, we're killing it. If you just come on to BuckeyeScoop.com or go to Dagestan Poppy Twitter and click on the thing, we're literally 3-0 again tonight. Just absolute murdering it on MMA. So just go check it out and enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. The units have been tracked over 13 months, and it's almost crazy how good it's been. But I think Ayer, speed-wise, he's probably a 4.6-ish guy. Again, I haven't seen the laser time on him. I don't know if someone's got a watch on him, but like I said, he's an explosive dude. You see him run the read option a little bit. He gets in the end zone. He's a guy, like I said, he's built and sturdy enough and tough enough that I think we could run that a little bit more, especially as we get him up to speed on a full field throwing game. But yeah, I just think he's got just fantastic ability, and he's a guy that's going to be someone that we're going to love. I think he's going to be just a monster in this offense. And like I said, I think he'll be a leader of the class. I think that, the thing that's been really cool in this whole process, as we've been growing the last month or so is J.J. Smith has gone absolutely bonkers as the leader of this class in terms of recruiting kids. Nevada, you noticed that, you kind of nuggeted that, but talk a little bit about what J.J. Smith has done in terms of recruiting skill guys, linemen, and the like, because it's been really fantastic, and he's been extremely vocal. And JJ is not a vocal guy, so it's kind of cool to see this kind of metamorphosis of JJ Smith as the leader of Ohio State's 2024 class.
Yeah, just fun to have the cool kid, and he's the coolest of the cool kids. And people were worried about his commitment to Ohio State or how solid was he going to be. Well, he's recruiting literally every other kid in the class right now. So can't get it much better. The only thing would be better if you would get like an Ohio State tattoo a la Danny Clark or something like that. That way we know.
I don't want to jinx it, man. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, things are looking good all the way, and we're not done. So buckle up.
When's the last time we had a white starting QB? Well, Joe Bauerman in 2011, I think, is the last one. I think he's the last of the Mohicans. And this year, obviously, we'll have Devin and we'll have or Kyle, unless we get a portal guy. But yeah, it's something I never really think about, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is kind of funny. And he did mention that tonight. He said that, Ryan Day develops black quarterbacks. And again, that's something that, Jim Tressel almost pulled Jameis Winston when Jameis was the number one quarterback in the country, because Jameis noticed that, we had a tradition of developing black quarterbacks and making them into really good players. And, for some people that really matters. So it was cool that Eric said that. It's cool that he's coming here. I put some JJ Smith on just to round this show out, just because if you guys ever feel sad or anything, just watch JJ Smith's highlights and realize that this kid's going to be here for 3 years and he'll be our starting X the first day he gets here, because he is unbelievably good. He loves Ohio State, and his ceiling is NFL Hall of Famer. So I'm just super excited about this kid. So we're just going to watch this real quick. Nevada, as we wrap the show, any final thoughts? Obviously just a huge add to the class. What's next? The two corners, you think?
Yeah, I think the two corners. Like I said, they're definitely spreading out the commitments. So keep an eye out for some more booms, because they're coming.
Yeah, I totally agree. Oh, got a super chat. Oh, you guys coming up for the spring game? Put in the chat if you come to the spring game. Like I said, I'm really excited about the spring game next week. I think it's gonna be a blast. O-line prospects, I think it's going to be camp. I think we've got 4 commits. We got the Armstrong twins. I mean, we might take 6. There's 2 national kids that we're really high on right now. But our O-line, it's just basically national hunting now, because we've got 3 Ohio kids and an Indiana kid with Ian Moore, all in the class. So I think that it's just shoot your shot at the national kids, mine the portal, and just do what you can to find these next tackles. I think the kid from Hoban, who's 6'8", is unbelievable as a freshman, but he won't even be here for 3 more years at least. So, it's gonna be awesome, man. Yeah, I'm just super excited. Yeah, again, I think if you're a receiver or quarterback and you don't come to Ohio State and you have that offer, it's like throwing a lottery ticket in the trash can at this point, because even our guys that are our third string receivers are getting drafted and being productive. Guys like Ben Victor. Ben Victor's on year 4 in the NFL right now. And that's hard to do, but he's trained up, and he's last. Austin Mack is sticking around in the NFL right now, and that's not even the top end guys. Those are the guys that didn't have the ultra productive careers that Michael Thomas had and some of those guys had, but they're trained so well that they have a real chance to make a living in the National Football League. Noah Brown is a guy that he decided a new deal with the Houston Texans after being with the Cowboys, and so again, I think that you got to go where you're going to get trained. Obviously, you want the opportunity, you want the production to be a first round pick, but if you're trained the right way, once you get to the next level, you give her a chance to really be successful. So I think it's going to be fantastic seeing how these guys progress. But holy cow, do we have some great receivers coming in. And Brandon Innes will be here in June. So he'll hopefully be on the show next week. I talked to him yesterday, so that'll be when we'll get wrapped up. So Nevada, any final words as we go and head to watch the UFC tonight?
No, just keep an eye out. Like I said, there's more coming. It's preordained. It's already been arranged, and watch for it.
Love it. Perfect. Appreciate you guys as always. This has been an awesome show. Again, super excited about Eric. I think he's going to be a fantastic add to the family. I love his skill set. I love his ability. Love the production. Again, there's a lot of guys that have ability and they're not productive for whatever reason, and that always raises a big question mark, raises an eyebrow. But Air is ultra productive. He's a great kid. Again, he's a great worker. And again, I've talked to his coaches. They think the world of him. He's such a nice kid. He's a leader. Again, super tough, super talented. So huge add to Ohio State in the quarterback room. And again, I love his athleticism as well, because I think that it's just much harder to defend. If I'm a defensive coordinator and I know that guy can take off, or he could potentially keep it on a read option, it's just that much harder to go against. So again, super excited about this kid. Love the connection that his tight end who made into a 5-star in Jelani Thurman already is here, already loves it. So he already has his safety blanket in place potentially. So just a lot to love. So appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoyed this, please shout out where you are from in the comments. Leave us a like, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys, as always. I hope you guys have a happy Easter with your family. As always, I appreciate you guys so much. So fun doing these shows, a little pop-up show on a Saturday night. It's great spending time with you guys, as always. If you enjoyed this, BuckeyeScoop.com needs to be your new home. We are on that 24 hours a day. We're going to have a huge day tomorrow with the Masters tournament. The third round obviously starts early in the morning. It's going to be Masters golf all day. We have a huge surround on that. Bill the Bank Greene is probably the biggest Masters fan on earth, so he's all over that. It's going to be a spectacular day on BuckeyeScoop.com as we head down the stretch for the final week of spring practice. So we appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys. Again, shout out where you're from. Love when you guys do that. I love to see where you guys are watching from. We appreciate you guys. Happy Easter. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. See you on BuckeyeScoop.com. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.